Alright, so this is going to be my review of Super Secret Crisis War. Now, this came out about a year or two ago. It was announced as this big event that was part of the new Cartoon Network comics that IDW was doing, like Dexter's Lab, Powerpuff Girls, and Samurai Jack, Ben 10, and pretty much, this was announced along with all the other comics that they were doing. It was, for those who don't know, it's this big crossover event, by IDW, this very self-contained, and it's actually kind of like a parody of events, because, events were kind of going all over the place in the year this came out, so they just decided, I think Secret Wars was actually just about to start, if I'm not mistaken, during this event, but I digress. So this, and it's actually kind of weird, and here's a sad part. The reason why I remember this being announced so well, because this actually came out the day my dog passed away. Which, I know, that's very morbid, but that's how I remember it so well, because this was announced. It was almost like the universe was trying to cheer me up, because I had that dog for about 14 years, and I really need to stop talking, or I'm going to make myself sad. Anyway, morbid information aside, let's talk about Super Secret Crisis War. Now, the story is that Aku has brought together Vilgax, Mandark, and Mojo to create the League of Extraordinary Villains. And he has the most convoluted idea ever. He's going to make robot copies of the heroes, then send in a robot army, and then out of nowhere he's going to use a giant space station called the Death Stare, I'm not making this up, to blow up the planets anyway. What? Yeah, it makes no sense. Meanwhile, this caused, of course, Samurai Jack, Ben, Dexter, and the Powerpuff Girls, alongside Ed, Nettie, join forces to stop the League of Extraordinary Villains from destroying the multiverse. There's also tie-ins, which I'll talk about in another review. Yeah, there's these one-shot comics that revolve around what happens when robots start invading the other universes. There's Johnny Bravo, Cow and Chicken, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, Kids Next Door, and Billy and Mandy. That's it. Yeah, that's all of them right there. But they don't. Those one-shots don't really play into the main story. They don't even know what the fuck's going on. But this is one big crossover, and you're probably thinking, oh, this is going to be so awesome. It's also written by Louise Simonson, that person who also helped Walt Simonson create, one of the other Simonson that helped create the classic Thor run. Yeah. Aside from, finally getting to see Ben hang out with Dexter, Jack, and the Powerpuff Girls, and even Ed, Nettie, this crossover is just bleh. Just bleh to me. Like, it's not terrible. It's not the worst crossover I've read. It's not It's not the worst crossover I've read, but it's not the best either. Now, let me say that it is really cool to finally see Aku hang out with Vilgax, Mandark, and Mojo. I was kind of hoping for more villains, because they actually teased there was going to be more characters in here, but I guess something happened and that wasn't going to happen. I would have loved to seen, other villains from in here, and you're probably wondering, well, why didn't we get characters like Adventure Time and those others? For some reason, Cartoon Network allowed the earlier, 90s, 2000 characters, the 90s and early 2000s Cartoon Network characters will be written by IDW, while the newer comics like Adventure Time, Steven Universe, and Amazing World of Gumball, and even Uncle Grandpa were going to be over at Boom Studios. I don't know what possessed them to split them up like that, but whatever. So, with this crossover, it's supposed to be a big parody event. It's supposed to be a parody of all these big crossovers. I was just kind of hoping it would be written, the characters, a lot of them sound different. Like, okay, the reason why Ed and Nettie are here, they get caught up by accident. They actually defeat the Dynamo. They actually fight from the Powerpuff Girls universe, the Dynamo. And also we had the samurai, the Ultrabots as they're called. Those samurai robots that nearly killed Jack. Yeah, they get taken out by Ben really easily. And so is the Dynamo, really. And let's talk about Ed, Nettie. Now, Ed, Nettie's probably one of my favorite cartoons ever. And they're just not written right. Like, Ed sounds a little too smart in some cases, and Double D's way too dumb. Like, none of the articulate manner that Double D has. He even says dude. Like, a few times. Like, okay, aside from the pilot, I don't think he said cool. He has said cool, so I'll give him that. But Double D has never said dude. He has never said that. Yeah, and Eddie sounds a little too smart. Like, I don't know, the Eds were just written not that were not well written. Jack was, all the other characters were good. The ones that sounded totally out of character were Jack and the not Jack, the Eds and Aku. Like Aku saying stuff like, "Yeah, this is gonna be awesome," or "Sweet Cheeks." I was like, okay, Aku said some really dumb stuff, but he has never said "Sweet Cheeks." Yeah, it's really weird. The event is just really all of the heroes just fighting their way through this giant space station. There's no universe hopping stuff. There's no anything like that. Even the Eds are kind of underused. They're just there to help Mojo Jojo switch sides, really. And Mandark is just there to be the evil apprentice, but there are some good jokes from Mandark. Really, it comes down to the only two major villains is Vilgax and Aku, which actually makes a lot of sense when you think about it. The action in here is pretty good, but it's really just mindless fighting for a majority of the 6-part comic. It's cool. Don't get me wrong, it is cool, especially when they get separated, like Bubbles and Jack get split up, Blossom and not Dexter, Blossom and Ben join in one group, and Dexter and Buttercup are in another, while the Eds are on their own until they run into Mojo. But yeah, also there's no they don't make a lot of shipping jokes about Dexter and Blossom. I know that's a very popular crossover ship online. If anything, she's at the girls actually have the hots for Ben. Also, I haven't really watched Ben 10. I wasn't a big fan of Ben 10 Omniverse, so yeah, I wasn't the biggest fan of Ben 10 Omniverse. So yeah, a lot of the monsters the aliens that Ben used, I wasn't familiar with. So I apologize. Ben 10 Omniverse was just not a thing for me. I wasn't a fan of it. If you are, that's totally fine. Me personally, yeah, I just wasn't a fan of it. But yeah, the crossover just kind of ends. Like, it just stops suddenly. But yeah. It's just okay. It's just okay. It's a really cool thing to see finally, all these characters join together. I was kind of hoping for more. Like, I'd have been totally fine if I'd have been fine. Here's what I think what I would have done. Instead of having Ed, and Eddie in the main event, I'd have them in one of the one-shots, and instead replace them with either Billy and Mandy, or even the Codename Kid, or the Kids Next Door. That actually makes a lot of sense. You could even had, in the villain side, you could have had Father or the Delightful Kids Next Door. You could have had them. Have Father in the group. Yeah, that would have made a lot more sense. Like, have Father as a member of this villain team? Yeah. Or you could even use Billy and Mandy if you want to have a stupid character. Go with Billy, and you could have used Nurgle. I would have. That would have been me personally. I would have gone with Ben on that. With not Ben. I think I would have switched out Ed and Eddie, put them in one of the one shots, and instead used the Kids Next Door and put the Eds in a one shot. Have them fight a robot or try to sell it for scrap metal like they were trying to do with the Dynamo, and involve. That would have been it, and have the Kids Next Door teaming up. Like, it would have been really cool to see the Kids Next Door, especially number 4 and Buttercup, fight together, and Bubbles and number 3 hang out, and even have number 1 and Blossom. That'd be really cool. Or, number 2 and Dexter do science stuff. That'd have been really fun. And number 4 looking up to Jack and Ben. Yeah. That would have made. I think that would have made a lot more sense. And again, you could have had the awesomeness that was Father as a member of this villain team, and you had more characters, because the Eds just don't do anything. And I know I'm harping on the Eds don't do anything. They really don't do anything. So yeah, I think it would have served us better in a one shot. And yeah, the crossover. While some of the fights are really cool, I mean, there are some cool like tag team moments. But really, there's just nothing here. The artwork by Derek Cham is actually really good. I will say, yeah, the artwork is really good. And there are some fun jokes here and there. But again, if you're really looking for a cool Cartoon Network universe team-up kind of thing, go play Fusion Fall. Yeah, go play Fusion Fall. That's the better version of this. And that came out first. But no, if you're really... I don't think you should get... this is $20. I got it for $5, so I shouldn't be complaining, really. So, yeah. it's not terrible. I gotta stress, it's not terrible, but I think my expectations were a little too high for finally seeing all these characters come together as they did. So yeah, but if you read this event, if you read Super Secret Crisis War and loved it, that's totally fine. I didn't hate it. I just thought it was okay. Anyway, so you guys tell me, what did you guys think of Super Secret Crisis War? Did you guys like it? Did you guys hate it? Just comment below, let me know. Once again, hope you all enjoyed this, and I will see you guys later.